Welcome to a special edition of Your Money. I'm Ali Velshi from the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. We want to talk about that with two of our close friends here and our Chicago natives. Diane Swonk is with me from Mesirow Financial. She's the chief economist there. And Terry Savage is a columnist with the Chicago Sun-Times, an author, and someone who started her career right here on this floor some time ago. This is an exciting place to be.
This is the center of free market capitalism. It's what makes American business work, and it's what makes our country so special that we have free markets. And I'm glad you're here. We're all glad you're here.
But those free markets are being interfered with right now. This is a time that so many of our viewers have never seen this sort of thing. We see government intervention at a pace we have never, ever seen it before. And, Diane, that probably goes against what so much you ever learned as an economist.
It does go against it. That said, I want to save capitalism from itself. I believe in markets, and unfortunately, if we don't intervene, the cost of doing nothing right now is greater than the cost of doing something. And I think we have to do something, even if it's not the best plan out there. Unfortunately, there's a reason why the public opinion polls of Congress are so much lower, even when we had our past president than the president. And that's because Congress doesn't come up with the best economic plans.
Well, you know, Terry, one of the things that a lot of Americans are not understanding about this stimulus package is exactly what is it going to do for them. Now, we have some details about it. We know that it's going to result in some money being put onto people's checks, and it'll be an increase in some Social Security spending, some money back on your paycheck. But ultimately, is this going to help Americans get back on track?
You know, I think the markets reacted with disappointment, and Americans did, because two key problems it didn't address. One was, let's give everybody some money back, maybe by cutting the payroll tax. That would have been so easy to do. And the second thing, and the most painful thing, is the number of people in foreclosure. We're past, those were speculators or they were greedy. These are middle-income Americans who had two incomes and now only have one, who are desperate. They can't reach their banks, and the banks say they can't reach these people. If Congress had only passed some kind of a restructuring plan, or Geithner had come up with one, that would give the banks cover to renegotiate those mortgages, extend them, understand that the house is not worth what the original mortgage was. But we haven't seen that either. So individuals are going, where's my help? So
we've got this major issue in the housing market that really set this recession into motion, and now we have a separate issue, and that is the number of jobs that we've lost. 3.6 million since the beginning of this recession, a remarkable pace.
In the last 4 months alone.
Just absolutely remarkable pace. The unemployment rate 7.6%. You are thinking that it might go up to 9%, but that without the stimulus package, you think it would be substantially higher.
Way into the double digits, 15 to 20%, and the cost of doing that in terms of the human toll, the toss to revenues to the federal budget, it's even higher than doing what isn't the perfect stimulus plan, but you've got to do something. And the foreclosure issue, I think really Terry hit the nail on the head here. We need to change bankruptcy laws so that there is recourse on loans, so that if you can't just walk away from your house, but on the other side of it, you can renegotiate the principal down like we do with businesses every day that are in trouble, so you can stay in your house. Because whether we like it or not, if I've done everything right and that guy down the street goes into foreclosure, it takes 3% off the value of my house. If another one on my street goes into foreclosure, it's now 10% off. We're all in the same boat, and I think that's the issue that we really have to get our arms around, is that we're all in the same boat. We all need to have our oars in the water rowing towards the same
Well, if we're all in the same boat, that means the banks are going to have to participate a little bit more. We'll probably see more from TARP. This is the bank bailout program. We'll hear from the Treasury Secretary about what he has for the banks. But the banks have got to lend people that money. They've got to be able to renegotiate some of these mortgages. They've got to be able to renegotiate interest rates. You deal with personal finance. I get phone calls, Terry, from people all the time who say, I tried to call the bank. They said, unless I'm in foreclosure, they're not negotiating with me.
Exactly. It's a catch-22. Banks will also tell you they're trying to modify and people don't open the mail. So we need some kind of new structure. You know that Project Hope made 400 mortgage modifications. I mean, there's been a lot of talk, and the problem is, talk every day, someone else is losing a home. That's what was so disappointing about Geithner's speech. He didn't come up with a concrete solution for that one subject.
And there was generally an agreement, and I think even he acknowledged that they built up this idea that Tim Geithner is going to come up with the solution for the second half of TARP, and he really didn't. I mean, an expression I've been using this week is that we expected a blueprint and we got a sketch on a napkin.
Exactly.
Doesn't mean we don't have a plan.
Skeleton with no meat.
But there may be something.
But there is something there, but it was too soon to have a press conference on it. It was like saying, here's a big Christmas present with the shiny bow on it, and you opened up the box and you said, okay, there's nothing inside. It's not that the plan isn't there. It is skeletal. There's no meat on the bone, and we need to see some definitive issues. He talked about foreclosure, but didn't set up any plans for foreclosure.
Right.
He talked about principal reduction, but didn't give us any plan for it.
Right.
And the clock is ticking, and that's the reality that Terry and I deal with every day. Is the clock is ticking on this recession every single moment.
And every extra job that's lost is another family without an income who might be getting government assistance, who's not paying taxes, who's not helping the government out of the hole, not buying anything to create demand. So this is an urgent issue.
Adding insult to injury.
There's also this issue of Americans not trusting where that first $350 billion went and how it didn't trickle through the system. Ultimately, though, the banks are going to get most of the remaining money. Is that not the case? Isn't that how it's got to work?
It has to work that way. And, you know, as much as we don't like it, the reality is it's the only infrastructure we've got. Banks are the only intermediary, the only conduit to which you can get a loan right now. The shadow banking system, which was your GMAC, all those places you got loans, just went to a mortgage broker, that has been decimated, and we need to work with the infrastructure we have. I think it's also important to note, one of the things that's a very hard concept to get around is, as bad as things were in the fourth quarter, there was a day when I remember policymakers, I mean, they had never seen anything like it, nothing in the Great Depression, the run on the banks that happened that triggered the panic and caused us to increase FDIC insurance, insure money market accounts. The run was so severe, in a couple of hours, it was worse than the entire Depression at one point in time. And the fact that TARP came in, it was far from perfect. People were egregious
But we didn't have a run on the bank.
But we didn't. They stopped the worst from happening. We saved the patient. We put a tourniquet on a very big wound.
Right, and that's something it's hard to measure what didn't go wrong. This could have been a lot worse.
But next to go wrong is all that consumer credit out there. $1 trillion of credit card debt, and the banks are getting tougher.
And I bet you're getting calls and emails about it, because I've been getting them too. Thank you to both of you. Diane Swonk, what a real pleasure to have you both here in person, or to be here with you. Thank you for having us in your town. Terry Savage, always a pleasure to see you. We've discussed some of the stuff that's in the stimulus bill, but ultimately we know, Terry said it's about housing, and Diane said it's about jobs. How is this going to affect your job? Was it the right decision that is going to put America back to work? Stay with us. We're continuing this special edition of Your Money from the CME in Chicago.